Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves recently: Donald Trump's demand for Iran to pay compensation for decades of U.S. soldier deaths and Iranian civilian casualties. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a bold move in the realm of international diplomacy, but personally, I think there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. What makes this really interesting is the timing and the context. Trump is pushing this demand as part of his efforts to end conflicts in Iran, Gaza, and Lebanon, but it comes at a moment when negotiations are already at a standstill. From my perspective, this feels less like a genuine attempt at reparations and more like a strategic play to shift the narrative or apply pressure on Iran. One thing that immediately stands out is Trump's use of Truth Social to make this announcement. It's not just about the message, it's about the medium. By posting on a platform he controls, he's bypassing traditional media filters and speaking directly to his base. What many people don't realize is that this kind of direct communication can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows him to frame the narrative without pushback; on the other, it risks coming across as performative rather than substantive. If you take a step back and think about it, this move could be as much about domestic politics as it is about foreign policy, especially with the midterm elections looming. Now, let's talk about the demand itself. Trump is calling for compensation not just for U.S. soldiers killed by Iranian-linked actions, like the USS Cole attack, but also for Iranian civilians killed by their own government. This raises a deeper question: is this a genuine attempt at justice, or is it a way to score political points? In my opinion, the inclusion of Iranian civilian deaths feels like a calculated move to paint Iran as the sole aggressor while positioning the U.S. as a moral arbiter. What this really suggests is that Trump is trying to reframe the narrative of U.S.-Iran relations, but it's a risky strategy. Iran is unlikely to take this demand seriously, and it could further sour an already tense negotiation process. A detail I find fascinating is how this demand fits into the broader context of Trump's Middle East policy. He's been pushing for peace deals, like the 15-point roadmap for Gaza, but these efforts keep hitting roadblocks. Israel's rejection of the Gaza plan, for instance, highlights how difficult it is to broker peace in this region. Netanyahu's public pushback against U.S. pressure shows that even close allies have their limits. What makes this really interesting is how Trump's approach seems to oscillate between diplomacy and confrontation. Personally, I think this inconsistency could undermine his credibility as a negotiator. If you look at the bigger picture, Trump's demand for reparations feels like part of a pattern. He's not just targeting Iran, he's also calling for compensation for victims in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and Gaza. This broadening of the scope suggests he's trying to position the U.S. as a champion of justice across the region. But here's the thing: without a clear strategy or international support, these demands risk coming across as empty rhetoric. What many people don't realize is that international reparations are incredibly complex and rarely succeed without a framework for accountability. So, where does this leave us? In my opinion, Trump's demand is less about achieving justice and more about shaping public perception. It's a move that plays well to his base, especially in an election year, but it's unlikely to yield meaningful results on the global stage. What this really suggests is that diplomacy in the Middle East remains as challenging as ever, and bold statements alone won't cut it. As we watch this unfold, I'm left wondering, is this a genuine attempt to hold Iran accountable, or is it just another chapter in the political theater of international relations? Let me know what you think in the comments below.